coming down to an easy seat. So any seated position that is most comfortable for you, and just finding a point where you can sit for a few moments and firstly start by connecting in with the breathing. So maybe taking one hand to the tummy and one hand to the heart space, maybe closing down the eyes if that's comfortable for you. Taking a deep inhale and releasing a full exhale. And just taking a moment to make sure the shoulders are over the hips, so you've got a nice straight back. Breathing in deeply, exhaling fully. And we're going to go through a few rounds of reverse breathing before we start the practice today. And reverse breathing is where we literally reverse the movement of the core whilst we're breathing. So firstly, checking in with our own normal breathing pattern. Allowing everything to settle where it is. And then on the next inhale, we're going to push the belly out. Exhaling, drawing the core muscles in and up. Exhaling, pushing it out. Inhaling, drawing inwards. Exhaling, pushing outwards. Inhaling, drawing in and up. Exhaling, relaxing everything down, filling the cavity. Inhaling, drawing inwards. Exhaling, releasing down and out. Taking a few more breaths at your own breathing pace, really paying attention to the difference in sensation between this and the normal breath. And then one last round, exhaling, pushing outwards, and then coming back to your own breathing pattern. And just taking a moment to allow everything to settle and seeing how the breath sits now. Is it a little bit calmer, a little bit smoother? And maybe not. Paying attention to the quality of the breath. We're going to meet in tabletop and we're going to start our practice. Starting in tabletop, so taking the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, tucking the toes. When you're ready, we're going to take the hips up and back into our downward facing dog and pedaling the legs out, bending the knees one by one, taking the heels up and down, allowing the hips to rise and fall, gently swaying from side to side, finding a place that is somewhat comfortable and finding stillness, maybe taking a little yes/no of the head, bending the knees, inhaling, stepping forward, inhaling, lifting the chest halfway, exhaling, folding forwards. On the inhale, reaching the arms up overhead. Exhaling, taking the hands down to the sides. Inhaling, reaching upwards. Exhaling, folding forwards. Inhaling, chest comes up halfway. exhaling, stepping back to plank. Taking a breath here before coming over onto the right side of the right foot, reaching the left hand all the way up and into our side plank, reaching through the left hand, squeezing the abs to lift the hips, taking the left hand down to the mat, finding our regular plank. On the exhale, lowering to chaturanga, and then all the way down to the mat, taking the hands under the shoulders. On the next inhale, we're going to lift the chest, the chin, the hands, squeezing the abs, squeezing the shoulder blades together, staying for the exhale and breathing in again. Exhaling, hands down to the mat, pressing the hips back to our child's pose, and taking a moment to once again check in with the breath, feeling the lift through the back, and then coming up into tabletop, exhaling back up into downward facing dog. Pedaling the legs out, releasing the tension in the neck and the shoulders, bending the knees, inhaling, stepping forwards, lifting the chest halfway, exhaling, folding forwards, and then inhaling, taking the hands up overhead and down to the sides. On the inhale, lifting the arms up overhead, exhaling, folding forwards, inhaling, lifting the chest halfway, and then exhaling, planting the hands, stepping back to plank. Now this time we're going to come over onto the outer edge of the left foot, inhaling, reaching the right hand all the way up, squeezing the abs to lift the hips, reaching through the fingers, pressing down into the left hand to keep everything lifted, keeping the chest open. Exhaling, taking the hand back down to the mat and turning back into our high plank. Breathing in here, and then on the exhale, lowering to chaturanga, and then all the way down to the mat. This time we're going to take the hands behind. On the inhale, lifting the hands, the chest and the feet, maybe bringing the big toes together, staying up for the exhale, and then on the inhale, squeezing the back to lift the chest, squeezing the glutes to lift the feet, before taking the hands down to the mat, pressing back to child's pose, and once again feeling the lift through the back. On the inhale, maybe taking a gentle sway from left to right to loosen out any tension in the back, before pressing the hands down into the mat, tucking the toes and coming back up into our downward facing dog. Taking a moment of stillness here, or maybe pedaling out the legs, releasing any tension in the back, the shoulders, and bending the knees, inhaling, stepping forwards, inhaling, lifting the chest, exhaling, folding forwards. On the inhale, reaching the hands up overhead, exhaling, hands to prayer at the heart center, inhaling, arms sweeping up, exhaling, sweeping forwards, stepping back into plank, hips back and up into downward facing dog. On the inhale, lifting the left leg all the way up, exhaling, foot in between the hands, finding the balance, inhaling, lifting the chest and the hands into our high lunge, taking the right hand forward and the left hand back, coming into an open twist, squeezing the inner thighs together to find the balance, exhaling, right hand down towards the mat, reaching the left hand up, squeezing the abs on the inhale, coming back up into our high lunge with a twist, exhaling, right hand down to the mat, lifting the left hand up, squeezing the abs to lift back up into our high lunge. Exhaling, lowering the right hand one last time, then squeezing and inhaling, lifting up into our high lunge with an open twist, coming back down into easy twist. Taking a moment here, reaching through the left fingers, keeping the chest open. Then when you're ready, taking the weight into the left foot, lifting the right foot off of the floor into a twisted half moon, squeezing the abs to keep the balance, reaching through the left fingers, exhaling, taking the hand down to the mat, and then slowly removing both the hands from the mat, finding our warrior three. Squeezing the shoulder blades together to lift the chest, keeping the abs tight, reaching through the back heel, and then exhaling both hands down to the mat, stepping back into our high lunge, lifting the hands up overhead, finding that point of balance, and then exhaling both hands down to the mat, stepping back into plank. Breathing in here, exhaling left knee forwards, inhaling back, exhaling right knee forwards, inhaling back, keeping that movement going each side, exhaling forwards, inhaling backwards. 2 more each side, exhaling forwards, inhaling backwards. And then when you're ready, taking both knees down to the mat, sinking the hips back into our child's pose, breathing in deeply here, exhaling fully, coming up into tabletop, tucking the toes, exhaling the hips up and back, finding our downward facing dog, maybe pedaling the legs out, maybe finding a point of stillness. But when you're ready, on the next inhale, lifting the right leg all the way up behind, exhaling the foot in between the hands, and then lifting on the inhale into our high lunge, finding the balance before exhaling, right hand down behind, left hand in front into our open twist, squeezing the abs, breathing in. Exhaling, left hand down to the floor, right hand reaches up. Inhaling, lifting. Exhaling, lowering down into our easy twist, keeping the abs engaged. Inhaling, lifting back into our high lunge with a twist. Exhaling, left hand down to the floor. Inhaling, rising back up. And then one last time, squeezing the abs, exhaling, lowering, right hand comes all the way up, and then taking the weight into our right foot, lifting the left, squeezing the abs to find the balance, drawing the shoulder blades together to keep the chest open, reaching through the right fingers. Exhaling, right hand comes down to the mat, before finding the balance and taking the hands to prayer at the heart center, squeezing the glutes to keep the left foot lifted, squeezing the abs to keep the balance. Exhaling, foot comes down to the floor. Inhaling, reaching the hands up into the high lunge, taking a moment here. On the next exhale, taking the hands down to the floor, feet back to plank. Exhaling, left knee to right elbow, inhaling back. Exhaling, right knee to left elbow, inhaling back. Keeping that movement going at your own breathing pace. Taking 2 more on each side. Exhaling forward, inhaling backwards. Then when you're ready, taking the hips all the way up and back to to downward facing dog. Maybe taking one last pedal of the legs. Maybe noticing how this down facing dog feels a little bit different from the first one. Releasing any tension left before taking the hips down to the mat. We're going to take the hands behind on an inhale, lifting the hips, pressing forwards, opening the chest, staying for the exhale, and breathing in, lifting, pressing through the hips, exhaling the hips down, taking the hands forwards into our child's pose. Breathing deeply into the lungs, feeling the opening through the back and the belly. Exhaling Shavasana.